Hi, I'm Jeff Rubenstein from the PlayStation blog here at San Diego Comic-Con 2012, along with the star of Beyond Two Souls, Ellen Page, and the writer-director of Beyond from Quantic Dream, David Cage. How you doing?
Good. Great.
So, panel today, and I kind of had an idea of what was going to happen. I thought we'd see a lot of David talking about how great it was to work with Hollywood talent like yourself, Kadeem Hardison, and how much that brought to the game. And what stood out to me is you and Kadeem talking so much about what a great experience this has been working with David and working in Paris. So did this really blow away what you expected to be a video game experience to be?
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest, I don't think I knew what the video game experience was going to be. You know, when the opportunity first popped up, I didn't really know how to wrap my head around it. But I was intrigued, of course. But then when I sat down with David and heard about the story that he was telling and played Heavy Rain and the work that he was doing and his vision and this character he was creating and this incredible, profound, emotional, subversive journey that she goes on, it was so exciting and so intriguing. So, my expectations of it were already high and they were completely exceeded. And it was very challenging, but incredibly fulfilling as an actor. Really amazing experience.
I was hearing other interviews, and you were talking about playing, Sonic the Hedgehog and the NHL games on Sega. But until you read the script, until you played Heavy Rain, did you have any idea that video games could tackle like mature subjects or like life after death?
No, not at all. I mean, I hadn't played video games really since the first PlayStation. That was sort of where my video game relationship to video games ended.
You might have been a little busy, in that time.
Yeah, I moved out, I was going to school, working, so there wasn't really, I consciously was like, do not take this with you, And now when I would be at a friend's house or have friends that were gamers, I, was blown away by how far graphics had come, but not intrigued by necessarily shooting or the violence and if people are into those games, great. It just isn't something that really necessarily excites me. And then when David was kind of explaining what he does and how he's incorporating these like cinematic narratives with this the interactive medium of video games and what he did with Heavy Rain, and I was just completely enthralled and excited about this idea, and quite frankly really grateful to be involved this early in the two sort of coming together.
So can we back up a little bit and talk about how you first got involved with the project? This role was written for you. Have you ever starred in a role that was from pretty much the very beginning aimed for you to be the star?
No, I don't think so, no.
Was there a plan B when you two met? I'd have to imagine there was a ton of pressure. You talked during the panel about meeting up in in some bar by the side of the highway somewhere in Southern California. And I mean, what were you feeling, David, when Ellen walked in and you had said that? I mean, you felt that was Jodie Holmes walking in. It's a good thing she did enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a very unique experience as a writer when you happen to meet one of your characters. So it was really something strong and something unique. So I was so glad and so relieved when she accepted to be on board, because otherwise I don't know what else I would have done.
So you've really taken, I'm a huge fan personally of Indigo Prophecy and Heavy Rain, and you've really taken storytelling to a place that it hasn't happened otherwise in the medium. And you did this with a cast of unknowns. So now you've got an A-list actress here and Kadeem Hardison, who we know. What does that do? What does that enable you to do in taking storytelling further in video game?
Well, what I tried to do was to trigger emotions with the players. So I use story to do that, but the real vehicle for emotion, it's actors. So when you have actors of this talent, I mean, it makes everything easier, because suddenly you feel, you share, you feel the empathy for these characters very quickly, and you feel on board, and you start to share how she feels and how she thinks, and you start to like her and just to be on board with the experience. So that's a huge difference. But I was very fortunate in my career. I started working with David Bowie, and I learned a lot doing this, and I met many different talented actors. I worked with kids, I worked with older people, I worked with amateur actors, and I work now with Ellen. But Ellen's been beyond amazing.
I see what you did there.
And she's done incredible work on stage. I mean, she really surprised me, also beyond my expectations.
So let's talk about the filming process. We saw some video. You've got mocap suit on. You've got dots all over you, all over your face. You're in a room that is largely bare. I mean, how challenging was this for you as an actress to have to make something from nothing?
Really challenging. And, I think what's challenging is going and just doing something, completely foreign, where you feel kind of naked, literally and figuratively, and your surroundings are as well, and everything is just kind of pure imagination. And on top of that, the amount of material we do every day is a lot, and it's a lot to get in your brain. And, you're shooting scenes no matter what the emotional intensity of it might be. You have multiple responses in relation to what the gamer is choosing, and multiple, intentions. And as an actor, this was all new and required so much quick transition and not a lot of time to do it. But that challenge was what made it so exciting and so compelling, and you sort of had no option but to just jump in and do it. And but I was so fortunate. The actors I work with were incredible, and David is an incredible director, incredible at describing the world and creating it and helping guide you through this kind of epic story that he's telling, and on an emotional level, getting you to that place really quickly, because the game is really emotional, and what Jodie goes through is intense, and it's a lot. And but that, it's been nothing but an incredible experience as an actor. There can't be anything more really pure and raw or closer to what it is about my job that I love, really, actually. So
how did you feel when you first saw yourself rendered out there on as Jodie Holmes?
Well, I avoided it for a while. I was like, oh, maybe it will throw me off, and I don't really want to, because I was just there to do what my job was, and that's what I wanted to focus on. But then on the last day of filming, David took me into the area, where hundreds of people are doing incredible work and creating this game. And to be honest, I just sort of forgot that it was even me, because I was so moved by what they were creating. And I was so moved by the technology and just how incredible it worked. It blew my mind. I mean, it was an amazing thing to witness. And, because the reality is he works on this for, I don't know when this man sleeps. And hundreds of people work on this game for years. I just sort of, I'm really actually a small part in it, so it's easy for me to sort of get over myself. And
let's not downplay it too much. This has been a 10-month shoot so far, and there's still more to go, correct?
It's about 10 months of shooting with about 160 actors. So it's very long shooting session, a lot of work.
So this is going to be very different than what you've done in the past when it comes to the final product. I mean, when the movie cuts and prints, I mean, that's where it is. It's locked in for all of eternity, unless George Lucas comes in and draws stuff in later. But people are in control of Jodie. So how do you feel that you're there, but you're not fully in control of what's going to be out on the screen for everyone? People are going to get different pieces of you.
Yeah, it's funny. It's unusual because it's always a little bit like that as an actor. It's I'm not in an editing room at the end of the day, too, But yeah, this does take it to a unique level, and it's interesting that you do a lot of work, and it could go in any direction depending on these choices that are made, and people just don't see all of it. That's what's interesting. It's a lot of this just isn't seen by people, and then other things are, and I don't actually know how to wrap my head around the idea of her being controlled, It's hard for me to think about. I don't know if I've really thought about it that much, because I just go and connect to this person and do my job. I don't necessarily think of the sort of the aftermath of it.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything, I was talking with Kadeem Hardison earlier, and I was like, how do you want people to play the game? And he's like, I just want them to keep me alive. Is there particular things, obviously we can't get into storyline details, but are you hoping that they will, as you're doing the different options, different scenarios, I hope they choose this one. I hope this is what gets out there, and when people experience the game.
Oh, when I'm acting it in that experience?
Yeah.
No, I think it's actually all very intriguing, and the story that David is telling and the scope of it and the magnitude of it is pretty incredible. I think whatever one chooses is going to hopefully be, fulfilling and interesting for them.
Well, one of the challenges was not to write one good story and 20 bad stories. Depending on the choices you make, you'll get the good one or the bad one. So I try to make sure that whatever path you choose within this story, you will have a good story that is consistent with who Jodie is, but you will have the opportunity to make the story yours. It's going to be your experience, your decisions, your choices, your consequences, and you decided to tell the story this way. So I think this is ultimately and hopefully what people will enjoy and beyond.
Yeah, I think you set the precedent with Heavy Rain, and I remember just after finishing it, talking with people, I'm like, wait, that happened to you? How did that even come about? So I think that's hopefully same experience here with Beyond Two Souls. So I'm getting the wrap-up signed, Beyond Two Souls 2013, correct?
Yep.
All right, so we'll be looking forward to seeing you, your first small screen, big screen debut. I don't know how we would phrase it, but definitely going to be interesting to see what you bring to the character, and I know people are very much looking forward to it. So thanks for taking time to speak with us, and have a good Comic-Con.
Thank you. Thanks, you too.